Hi there, it's Lety, and today I want to share something that has lingered in my mind for a long time. Maybe you're here because a part of you is looking for healing, or maybe you're just curious what healing really feels like. We hear so often, just let it go, just move on, just forget about it, but deep down I think you know, and I know, that real healing isn't about forgetting it all. It's about learning to walk forward with a quieter but steadier strength, with all your memories and even the pain still carried somewhere in your heart. Healing is about honoring the fact that you survived and letting that survival turn into gentle power. So let's walk this path together, one small step at a time. There was a time in my own life when I believed that to truly heal, I had to erase everything that hurt. I spent so many nights replaying old conversations in my mind, thinking if I could just rewrite the past, the ache in my chest would finally disappear. I tried to distract myself. I worked late. I said yes to everything and everyone, but the truth is, my wounds waited for me in the quietest hours. Sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes on a slow, rainy morning, they whispered, "I'm still here. I am still a part of you." It was my friend Min who first helped me see that healing might be something else. Min had lost her father suddenly. For months, she tried to be strong for her family. She put on a brave face, smiled in photos, kept herself busy with work, but inside, there was a hollow space that nothing could fill. I remember sitting with her one afternoon as the sunlight faded outside her window. She said, "I wish I could just forget, but every memory is like a song. Sometimes it makes me cry, sometimes I just want to listen to it again and again, because it's all I have left of him." And then she said something I'll never forget. Maybe healing isn't forgetting. Maybe it's letting the pain live with you, but not letting it own you anymore. I think about that conversation all the time. It changed something in me. I started to see my own scars, not as stains to be erased, but as parts of my story. Maybe your story too is marked by moments you wish had never happened. A friendship that faded, a dream that broke, a loss you could not prepare for. It's easy to wish for a magic button that could erase it all. But slowly I realized those parts are not there to haunt you. They are there to remind you how much you've grown. My friend Lynn went through a heartbreak that shattered her sense of self. She thought she would never trust again. She tried to stay busy, traveled, joined new clubs, learned new skills, but every night, the same sadness crept back. One day, Lynn started a journal. At first, she only wrote about her pain, her anger, the things she wished she could forget. But with time, she found herself writing about what she learned, that she could love deeply, that she could survive even this, that her world was not ending, just changing step by step. Lynn became softer with herself. She stopped demanding that she move on overnight. Instead, she let each day teach her something new about who she was becoming. I realized then, healing is not a race. It's not about how fast you can get over it. It's about learning to live with what happened, to hold your past gently, and to trust that every small step, even one shaky breath, is a kind of progress. There was a year in my life when I felt utterly lost. I had lost a job I loved. My closest friend moved away, and I found myself questioning everything I believed about who I was. For months, I woke up each morning with a heavy heart, wondering if I would ever feel light again. I tried to pretend I was fine. I smiled when people asked, but inside I felt like I was moving underwater. I was ashamed to admit how sad I was, as if sadness made me weak or ungrateful. But one evening, walking home under the city lights, I stopped by a little park. The air was cool, and for the first time in months, I let myself simply sit, breathe, and not hide from what I was feeling. I looked up and noticed the streetlights shining on the leaves, the gentle sound of wind, and I realized even when I felt broken, the world still offered me beauty. That night, I didn't heal instantly, but I walked home feeling just a little stronger. Maybe you know that feeling. Maybe your healing has been slow, almost invisible. Maybe you look at yourself and wonder if you are any different at all. But trust me, every quiet step you take, every day you choose to keep going, that's healing at work. Asterisk, my friend Toon once shared a story that I carry with me always. He had grown up in a family where emotions were rarely spoken about. He learned to bottle up every feeling, to show the world only his strong, unbreakable side. But inside, he struggled with anxiety, self-doubt, and the old wounds of words never said. One day, after a difficult breakup, Toon decided to talk to a counselor. It was the first time he had ever admitted out loud that he was hurting. He told me, healing didn't come as a thunderstorm or a dramatic change. It came quietly, in the small act of speaking honestly and the courage to let someone see him as he was. Every session, every little confession, every time he let a tear fall, was a stitch mending his heart, not all at once, but thread by thread. That's the thing about healing. It's rarely loud, rarely fast, rarely easy, but it is always possible, always moving. Even when you think you are standing still, there are days when you might feel like you're starting all over again. Something triggers an old memory, a song, a place, or even a smell. Suddenly, the pain returns, sharp and clear. You wonder if you will ever be free of it. But let me tell you, that feeling is not failure. It's just a reminder that you are human. And that healing is not about perfect forgetting. It's about learning to let the waves come and go, and to know that you are more than your memories. When I was younger, I believed that strong meant never letting anything touch me. I thought if I could just be tough enough, nothing could hurt me. But life, of course, has its own lessons. I learned that real strength is not about building walls, but about allowing yourself to feel, to grieve, to grow, and still keep walking. I remember reading somewhere that healing is like tending to a garden after a storm. You cannot expect every flower to bloom again overnight. Some seeds will lie quiet for a long time before they rise up through the earth. But with patience, gentle care, and a little sunlight, the garden slowly returns, more resilient and beautiful for all it has survived. Asterisk, that image has stayed with me. When I'm kind to myself, when I let myself rest, when I forgive the parts of me that are still hurting, I'm tending to my own garden, and so are you, even if you do not see the blossoms yet. Sometimes healing means reaching out for help, even when it feels scary or vulnerable. My friend Mai, after a long season of sadness, finally told her sister how much she was struggling. They sat together in silence for a long time, but in that silence, something shifted. Mai told me later. The pain didn't go away, but she no longer carried it alone. She learned that healing sometimes happens in community, in the gentle presence of people who love us, even when they don't have all the answers. There were days when I thought my sadness would be too heavy for anyone to carry. I worried that talking about my pain would make me a burden. But every time I dared to share, even a little, I found compassion instead of rejection. The people who matter most will honor your story, hold space for your grief, and remind you that you are still worthy of love. Asterisk, one of the hardest parts of healing, I think, is forgiving yourself for the ways you tried to survive. Maybe you pushed people away. Maybe you made mistakes. Maybe you pretended to be okay when you were not. But those were just your ways of coping, your ways of staying afloat. Healing is about accepting that version of yourself, too, and letting it rest. Asterisk, I want to tell you about Kwan, a friend who struggled for years with guilt over a broken relationship with his father. He held on to regret, replaying all the moments he wished he had acted differently. But as time passed, Kwan started writing letters to his father, never sent, but always honest. Through those words, he forgave not only his father, but also himself. He realized that healing was not about changing the past, but about changing the way he saw himself in the present. Asterisk. There is power in small rituals, lighting a candle for someone you miss, walking the same path every morning, noticing how the light changes, letting yourself cry, then breathing deeply and moving forward. Every little act of tenderness, every moment of kindness, is a brick in the road you are building, a road that leads not away from your pain, but onward. Towards something new. Healing is a quiet art. It does not always look like joy. Sometimes it is simply the absence of constant pain. Sometimes it is being able to laugh again, even for a moment. Sometimes it is the courage to try again, to trust again, to hope again. There will be setbacks. Some days the weight will feel heavier, but each time you choose not to give up, each time you rest and begin again, you are proving to yourself that you are stronger than you thought. If you are listening to this now and wondering if you will ever feel whole, I want you to know that wholeness is not the same as being untouched. It is being willing to embrace every scar, every lesson, every broken piece that has shaped who you are. Wholeness is not about perfection. It is about living honestly, loving deeply, and allowing yourself to change. Even slowly, when I look back at the hardest seasons of my life, I realized that what helped me most was not the moments when I tried to forget, but the moments when I chose to keep walking, even if I moved slowly. Even if I stumbled, I kept walking, and with every step, the pain became a little lighter, the world a little brighter, my heart a little steadier. So here's what I hope you remember. Healing isn't forgetting, it's walking on with steadier strength. It's saying, this happened, but it does not define me. It's learning to carry your story with gentleness, to offer yourself the patience you would offer a dear friend, and to trust that with time, with care, with small steps, you will find your way. You do not need to rush. You do not need to be over it by anyone else's timeline. You only need to honor your own journey, to move at your own pace, to choose again and again, to keep going. And when you look back, you may be surprised at how far you've come. Not because you forgot, but because you kept walking, and along the way, you grew. You became someone who knows how to survive, how to heal, how to hope. Thank you for letting me share my story and the stories of the people I love. Thank you for walking this path with me, one small step at a time. No matter where you are in your healing, know that you are not alone, and that every step, even the smallest, is worth celebrating. This is Lety, wishing you courage for the road ahead, gentle strength for each new day, and all the time you need to bloom in your own way.